Johnny, I can't get over it. She's beautiful.
She was always beautiful. But tell me, do you think 8 cows was too high a price for her?
Oh, no.
Neither does Moki. In fact, he was just here before you came to accuse me of cheating him. Mahana, he says, is worth 10 cows if she is worth a hoof.
I don't understand. What happened?
It was the cows.
The cows?
Think what it must mean to a woman. Her future husband meeting with her father to discuss the lowest price for which he can be bought. And later, when the women of the village gather, they boast of what their husbands paid for them. 3 cows or 5. How does she feel, the woman who was sold for 1 or 2? This could not happen to my Mahana.
Johnny, I've misjudged you. I thought you were thinking only of how important you would look to your friends giving 8 cows for a wife. I didn't know you wanted to make Mahana happy.
More than happy, Mr. Harris. I wanted her to be an 8-cow woman. Many things can happen to make a woman beautiful. The thing that matters most is what she thinks of herself.
Right now I'm in a state of mind. I wanna be in like all the time. Ain't got no tears left to cry. So I'm picking it up, I'm living, I'm picking it up. I'm picking it up, I'm loving, I'm living, I'm picking it up. I'm picking it up, loving, I'm living, so we turn it up. Yeah, we turning it up.
Happy Resurrection Sunday! Happy Easter to everyone who celebrates Easter. It's my favorite holiday of the year. Today is the last episode, episode 10, and I'm so grateful for everyone who has gone through this journey. I had to reiterate, if you have not watched episode 7, be sure to go watch episode 7, because episode 7 and today's episode, they are both equally amazing. Now, it's clear that I needed to face my suicide and not try to just escape it with a bunch of distractions, crossing my fingers and hoping things are just gonna work out for the best. But I was a prisoner of my own expectations. I was living 2 lives when I should have been living 4. Most people, I think we're all conditioned to kind of live 2 lives. The I can and I will, and the I can't and I won't even try. I realized that I'm not tired of living, I'm tired of not living. But the life that I wanted was outside of the life that I created for myself. So it seemed out of reach. And I think that's kind of how we all get stuck, because we're already in the life that we're in. We don't see that there's a whole nother life out there that we could have instead of the life that we're living today. I had to go through the whole purging process. I had to slow down. I had to feel everything I was feeling as a result of finally facing my suicide. But I became a complete blank canvas to achieve everything that I'm going to share with you today. Make sure you watch through to the end so you can hear about all 4 lives and to see if you're living 4 lives or if you're living 2 lives. So the 4 lives exist to keep you a whole, fulfilled person. The first life is the social life. Like I mentioned in episode 7, now I'm focused on my cake and everything else is icing. That includes social life. So now that I'm focused on my cake, I had to mentally remove everyone from my life. In therapy, we talked about when people give up on you, that's about them. That's not about you. So the people who left me, whether it's my spouse or friends or family or whoever just didn't show up in my life, that's on them. That's not on me. So once I had to come to that truth, then I was able to stop putting out energy, stop giving energy when it's not being reciprocated. That's another tip that my therapist told me. She said that's how I'll know when the right people are in my life is when they are reciprocating, they're mirroring the same level of energy that I'm giving to them. So now I get to hand put them in my life where I see them fitting in my life so that my expectations are always appropriately aligned and healthy, because you can't control other people, but you can control how much effect you allow them to have on your life. Now, considering people and family come and go from your life, I cast my net wide. So this way I can always keep my social life healthy and active. So having all those expectations before didn't do me any favors. It just kept leaving me room for disappointment. And then when I would get too close to somebody who wasn't reciprocating the efforts that I was putting into a relationship, there's a certain point where you have to realize there's always going to be takers in the world. So if you're constantly giving, and people are not giving back to you, that just means that they're takers. And the world is full of plenty of takers. So now that I have a better balance of what type of relationship I would be putting out there when I'm making my maid family, my maid friends, associates, or just in general the people that are in my life. I also get to consider, who do I want to be in my relationships. At first I thought, what do I want my friends to feel about me? And then I realized that's me being all over their paper. I can't control how other people feel. So me wanting to control how they feel, that's control. It's all about reframing the way that my brain thinks. So I changed that to, what do I want to be to my friends? Poseidon, come on. For my friends, I want to be reliable. I want to be a great listener, a great confidant, aka secret keeper. I want to be someone who shows up in good times and bad times. I want to give unbiased advice. I want to be positive. I want to be the friend who never allows them to bash or put down their partner, but instead encourages them to choose intimacy over being right. Most importantly, I want to be the friend. I want to be the person who challenges the people around them to show up as their best selves in the negative situations. So the second life is the love life. Now, in my last episode, I said I totally manifested my divorce. Big picture, everyone manifests everything in their life by what they think, they truly believe, and that becomes their reality. Now, after my divorce, I took a 6-month course on how to be a respectful woman with all of my feminine vagina power. And it was a course by Laura Doyle. She wrote First Kill All the Marriage Counselors. She has some really great concepts, such as why we go to counseling and sit there and argue and complain about the other person, and then we go home expecting for them to have all these happy, exciting feelings for us of love. Why do women complain so much about their spouses, but they treat them like employees or micromanage them like employees? Tell them how much they're doing everything wrong. They fed the kids wrong. They changed the diapers wrong. Put the kids in the wrong clothes. Why did they move this? They cleaned this wrong. And then the guy stopped helping. So then the wife gets upset. And then my favorite is choosing intimacy over being right and being petty. I know it all works because that's what got my ex hooked on me. We manifested that breakup together. We gave way too much oxygen on talking about how terrible life is and how things never work out. And I don't think we ever gave much oxygen to talking about the things that do work out in our life or the best case scenario for us. So after that breakup, y'all know I leaned heavily on Love Advice TV. They have a great breakup recovery program for people who have been through breakups and divorces. So when you have an identity crisis or a major life change, it's so important to take on some type of tangible self-development, 100%. I took their reset course. Now with their reset course, you basically write out all of the arguments or disagreements or things that happened in a relationship, and then you write down what you did to contribute to that. And then you write down how you would change that in the future, how you would react to that going forward in the future. A couple of my cringe-worthy moments was we were walking through Boca and we came across a kids' clothing store. And I harped on how my kids in the future were gonna be all dressed up all the time, always smelling good, this, that, whatever. And he was like, why wouldn't kids just be wearing play clothes? Like, why would you want your kids to dress like this all the time? I was just projecting because I was really annoyed and perturbed that my boyfriend had stopped wearing cologne and he had stopped getting dressed up for our dates and stuff like that, for the most part, as much as he used to. So I just was projecting onto that. It was a very dumb, cringe argument, I know. We had another one about his kids playing sports. I don't want these coaches to be emotionally abusive to my kids, blah, blah, blah. And I made this whole big stink on it. At the end of the day, if the kids are playing sports, I already know he's going to be a great dad whenever that time comes. So that would fall under his arena because he did used to play sports and he is a great guy. So I know he's not going to let anybody emotionally abuse his kids. But that wasn't me thinking. That was just me being afraid of my kids going through emotional abuse or, dealing with things that I kind of went through. And fear underlines control always. And that's how you end up in very stupid, petty, dumb, making dumb comments. So let me take you on a quick throwback. So when I was with my husband, he wanted to have this big wedding. I did not want to have a big wedding. I requested many times to just please just elope, save the money, and just do something small, like elope. And he did not want to elope. I said, well, maybe we can do I just don't like the thought of spending all this money on a wedding when you can buy a car or buy a house. Why spend so much money on a big, huge party for people that you don't even talk to, that you barely ever see, you're probably never going to see them again, it just doesn't make sense to me in my head. Not a fan of big, huge weddings. But he was adamant to have a wedding. So I said, well, maybe we could just do a backyard. Maybe we could just do a backyard wedding and just make it like a big potluck and everybody can just come, we'll just have a hangout kind of a thing. And he was like, well, I'm not going to have my family come out here to just go to a backyard barbecue. Like, I'm not doing that. So we ended up having to have this big old ridiculous wedding that cost way too much money. Fast forward to my relationship after, my ex gets out of bed, the one who didn't believe in marriage, and he said, Eileen, would you ever consider getting married at the courthouse? And then instead of saying, oh, it's my dream to elope, can we just go to a park or go elope at a beach, or we can go to Vegas, or we can go elope anywhere? It doesn't have to be at a courthouse. You can get married, elope anywhere. Instead of doing that, what I said was, I don't want to marry you anyways if you don't want to marry me. You want to go to a courthouse, it just means it's not important to you. It just means it's not special. And I know that's not true. Cringe. That is one of my cringiest moments. So after the breakup with him, not wanting to get back together or being friends, it really sucked. It did. My confidence was shot and my insecurities took a hit. I was talking to my friend Jack, and he said, Eileen, don't you see what happened? He said, you met a guy who was so adamantly in opposition of marriage, and in less than a year, by being with you, you managed to show him different to the point where he believed in marriage with you to even put it on the table. That's how much he believed in what you showed him as the woman that you are. Now, I mentioned a bunch of awful mistakes I made, but Jack is right. I'm not gonna let my mistakes overshadow my great qualities. At my worst, someone felt so much belief in me and my cute adorableness that it gave them cause to even put it on the table. So now with my self-confidence back on top and my self-worth and self-value realigned, I get to be excited about my love life. I get to have it all now. Now I'm manifesting my love life according to my brand new life and what I want for my dream life. I am going to elope with my guy because he's going to want to. He's going to want to honeymoon at home, which this I have to mention because my niece kind of got on me about this. She said, why don't you want to honeymoon somewhere else? And I said, you can always travel and go somewhere with your spouse. But when you go on your honeymoon, you have this great time, great adventures, blah, 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 hopefully great sex. And then the last day, you're like, oh, I got to go home. And it just kind of has that feel of disappointment that you have to end the honeymoon and go home. Whereas if you honeymoon at home and just make the home special and you have your honeymoon experience at home, you're starting off your marriage giving off these really great, positive, optimistic vibes that your marriage started happy in that home. So there is no leaving the home to end the disappointment. Maybe you have to go back to work, and then that's different because you have a feeling of going back to work. But the fact that you've built up all these positive vibes in your home, it's going to counteract the feeling of just having to go back to work and go back to regular day life. So that's why for me, it's like, whatever, make the house beautiful, get some flowers, get some candles, whatever. Make the house amazing for a honeymoon for you and not taking the honeymoon outside the home. So yeah, so my guy is going to know that, he's going to understand it, and it's not going to be a problem at all. I definitely know now that I only want 1 or 2 kids because I wanted to accommodate our dream life. And that's going to be a lot of fun, adventures, family travels, family memories. For me, 1 or 2 kids is plenty for my dream life that I'm manifesting for myself now. And I know my future husband, he's going to feel the same way. My home is going to be a place of peace because the world is so hard. The world is so hard out there. It's so negative and so rough that I always, always, always want when he comes home for home to be easy, for home to not be rough, for home to be the place that he can relax and not have contention. I'm manifesting my future husband that when I elope with my yummy guy, because he will be yummy, that he is not just going to be someone who wants to be married. He's going to be someone who wants to get married and have a dream life with his dream woman and have an amazing adventure that is exceptional above all the marriages that he sees out there. And when I think about the kind of wife that I want to be and the kind of woman that I get to be in my relationship, I want to be the woman that's feminine. I want to be soft, gentle, kind, happy, peaceful. I want to be the woman who speaks love and life into him. I want to be positive, optimistic. I want to be the most respectful woman that he has ever met in his entire life. So the third life is the professional life. How many of us are living our dream careers? How many of us are fulfilled with our professional lives? I had 2 major problems. I'm really attracted to machismo guys. That's like really manly guys. This kind of can somewhat be a little stifling because at times my mind said to never be more successful than the guy I'm dating because based on their feelings about not being happy if their woman was making more money than them, couple that with my fear of failure, not feeling smart enough or quick enough or resourceful enough, just never enough, you find yourself not even trying to go for anything anymore. We don't even work in the field of our interest to learn from it with the expectation to grow from it, which is why I always thought the best way to get around this was to go into business with my man. So if you have a family business, then your success is his success, and then nobody has to have those weird traditional role feelings. And I might have less fear of failing because I would have a partner that I could lean on. Fast forward to now, and after a lot of meditating on what I want for my future, I know a few things. This is the best time for me to go out there and do everything, because I wasn't even scared of suicide. I wasn't scared of death. So this is the best time to go out, and I can try and fail, or I can try and succeed at everything I want to do. I want a professional life that makes me happy. I want to feel good that I'm putting positive vibes into the world, doing something that contributes kindness that other people can receive. And I want to fully and abundantly enjoy my finances and my time. So I had taken up photography and put it down for the reasons I had mentioned before, but now I'm working towards learning specific techniques that excite me about the editing process. In the meantime, I'm close to launching my brand new website for Q's Imaginarium Photography. Only fun themed beauty shots for women to feel special and spoiled. And plug, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I'm just now learning about TikTok and all the social media stuff, so you have to bear with me. I also have some other really exciting ventures in the works that I can't really get into right now, but includes a really huge partnership of a really long time dream finally materializing. I made a manifestation board, I learned law of attraction, law of assumption, and now I'm going for everything. So when I thought about for myself, what do I want the truth about me as a businesswoman to be? I know I want it to be ethical, creative, prompt, articulate, positive, approachable, and trustworthy. The biggest life-changing part about my professional life has been this channel. I was only intending to make this documentary to talk about how to live with and manage suicidal thoughts. And instead, I was able to tell you all about how I got rid of my suicidal brain fog. And starting today on this very channel, I am launching a full online course on thinkific.com with a comforting, easy to follow video course, complete with downloadable PDFs and free support on this channel with concrete tips that give concrete results to help anyone to say goodbye to suicide. The most important life is the fourth life, your personal life. I never properly grieved losing my old dream. The first therapist I ever had, she told me to stop dreaming, that I should not focus on having dreams or making dreams or creating new dreams, because let's say if I have kids, they might just grow up to hate me. Not very optimistic, and I fired her after that session. That's when I got to get with Kelly, Kelly is amazing. Kelly, I know you're watching this. Thank you. I had to learn to be gentle with myself because I was brutal on myself. If I wasn't in such a bad place, I would have been able to turn my regrets into do-overs. But I was able to become a completely blank canvas and completely empty out my brain of all the negativity and be able to rebuild my mindset to submit to me. And this Eileen says, I can and I will, and if I want it, I'm going for it with no room for opposition from myself or anyone else. Going forward, I will continue to add value to myself by learning more and exploring everything that I'm capable of. I'll consistently challenge myself. One of my challenges has been learning 3 other languages: Spanish, cringe because I should already know Spanish, French, and Italian. Italian's so much easier than French, but nonetheless, I'm really focused on learning these 3 languages. And the way that I'm going to challenge myself to do that is the Say Goodbye to Suicide course that I created. My goal is to have that course in those additional 3 languages. So that'll be me making that course into 4 languages. That is my challenge to myself that I'm working on this year. I know that I can trust myself. I know that I can be alone with my thoughts. I trust my brain. I trust my mind. I trust where I'm at today to be positive and to take care of myself and to be okay with enjoying my alone time and not being codependent on anyone. When I think about this dream life that I get to have now, this completely different life, my truth for myself is to say that I am kind and I'm firm and I'm honest and I have high morals and I have high integrity, and that I am the exception to society's upbringing. And of course, cute and adorable, a high value woman. So, are you living 4 lives or 2? Your 4 lives are like 4 legs on a table. If one of them is broken, your table's easier to topple over. If 2 or more are broken, your table is just a matter of time before your whole table just collapses. So this way, if you have all 4 of your lives, 25% each, and they are all strong, then when something happens to one of them, at least you have 3 other legs to hold you up while you rebuild your 1 other leg. So I did end up finishing boxing. It wasn't for me. I'm a lover, not a fighter. The number 1 technique that helped me the most is learning about manifestation, law of attraction, law of assumption. That is what really trained my mindset to absolutely extinguish the negativity from my mind. I'm going to leave you with a couple of my favorite affirmations. I'm going to make everything around me beautiful. My new life is inevitable. And hate it or love it, this underdog's on top. And I'm not going nowhere. So you can get to know me.
I see. In her father's hut, Mahana believed she was worth nothing.
Yes. And now she knows she is worth more than any other woman on the island.